Hey everyone, welcome to the Wild and Uncut podcast, brought to you by Ruger. I'm your host, Kristy Titus. Thank you for tuning in. The line is going hot, so let's go full send on this episode. In a world where rugged and reliable matters, Ruger stands strong. Celebrating 75 years of American-made craftsmanship, Ruger continues to set the standard for excellence in firearms. From the iconic 1022 to the American rifle and beyond, each firearm embodies precision engineering and our deep-rooted traditions. Join us in honoring a legacy built on strength, innovation, and the American spirit. Hey everybody, thank you for tuning into this episode of the Wild Uncut podcast. We are coming at you from the Ruger Marlin booth at Hunt Expo in Salt Lake City, and I'm here with my friend Travis Ishida from the National Rifle League. And Travis is, how long has NRL been in existence?
So NRL as a business has been around for 10 years. Okay. NRL Hunter, we're celebrating our 5th year this year.
So 5 years, and I think I might have shot the inaugural year. I'm trying to remember if I've shot it as long as it's been around.
I think you did, because you shot Jake Vibbert's match, which was the first year.
Okay, so and I'm excited to jump back into shooting another match this year. So for all of you listening and watching that don't know what NRL Hunter is, Travis, kind of give everybody like a breakdown, your vision. I know we've done this podcast before, but I think it's always relevant to, there's a lot of people that are tuning in now that haven't heard your previous podcast.
Absolutely, and it's been a couple of years, so I'm super excited to be back here with you.
Well, I'm glad you're here, always.
Right?
Because I didn't catch you at SHOT Show because I didn't go. So
No, and I was like in and out, I tried to do it super stealth this year, just take care of what I need and get out of there. So NRL Hunter is a shooting competition designed around realistic hunting scenarios. And it is designed to help people become better hunters through practical applications and practical gear. So there's a lot of precision rifle sports out there that are all fantastic, but a lot of those sports are turning more towards like a NASCAR type of a thing where it has to be super high-end gear, and they're shooting heavier rifles with smaller calibers, and they're really specialized rifles. And that's a fantastic sport.
Sure.
Majority of the people don't have those type of setups. So NRL Hunter was created so that you can literally take a rifle off the shelf or out of your safe and come out and learn and shoot a competition. So one of the big things that makes us different than other competitions is we are a find, range, and engage completely blind match. So you don't get to sit there and watch what everybody does in front of you. You have to figure it out on your own, kind of like you would in a realistic hunting scenario, right? It takes a lot of people for a spin when all of a sudden it's like you make them think about what they're doing, and under a 4-minute time limit for an individual. It really you get to see a lot of different funny things.
Yeah. So when you guys imagine this, so in a lot of the competitions for rifle, you'll have a squad of 10 or 12 shooters, and everybody watches the person in front of them shoot. Everybody is talking about, he ran that bag and he used this tripod or
this wind call.
Or wind calls. And they're sharing information, right? So you get to watch some of the mistakes. Perhaps somebody shoots in front of you. Maybe they start with their bipod too short or too high, and then they're adjusting and they're losing some time. So there is some factor, that kind of, it aids you in your success because you're actually, shooting and learning and watching. NRL Hunter is different because you have a squad, but your squad mates are set up to where you can't see each other shoot.
Right.
So you walk up to the stage, and the RO for the stage gives you like a left and a right lateral limit. And then they'll tell you, okay, you're going to have 3 targets and you're going to shoot near to far. And good luck. Here's your 4 minutes.
Pretty much.
And you have to find the targets. You have to range estimate the targets. You have to get your data, make your wind call, and build your shooting position without having seen anybody else do it. So you walk up to that stage with all your gear in hand. So anything that you might want to build a shooting position, from your range bags and your tripods, all your bipods, whatever gear you think you might need, similar to the way you would find if you were rucking during a hunt.
Absolutely. So it's designed so that it's going to be using gear that you would use on a hunt.
Correct.
That's how the stations are, or the stages are designed. And we did that intentionally because a lot of guys, you might come to the Hunt Expo and book a super exotic hunt, and it's your bucket list hunt, but then you're only able to go out and hit the shooting range because there's nothing around you to learn, or you don't know what to do. So we offer these competitions. I mean, we have 32 competitions in 6-month period for 2025. So there's one everywhere across the United States, including Alaska and Canada. You can go to one of these matches and in a weekend learn more about your skill set, your gear, than you would normally in 2 or 3 years of doing your normal routine.
Sure.
Plus, you get to meet people like yourselves and other, professional hunters, some influencers, a little bit of, industry professionals. And every single person there is there to help you out.
Sure.
You've helped out people in like our skills division, which is our skills division means you can pretty much bring whatever you want and you can get as much coaching and help as you want. So you're not a part of the competition per se, but you're shooting the same course of fire, which is a great way for everybody starting out, because
you
then you learn
can come
the game.
in with a mentor. So like somebody who's more experienced can go shoot that course of fire or that stage and then come back and meet up with the skills shooter and help them when they walk up to the stage, help coach them, mentor them. You're not shooting as part of the competition. You're there for skills development.
Exactly. You articulate this so much better than I do.
I don't know about that. But no, it is really fun. And so I did mentor a shooter, was it like 3 years ago, I think? Maybe 4 years ago, I mentored a shooter.
We'll say 3.
Yeah, whatever. It's been a little, we don't know, whatever. It's been a while. But I did mentor a shooter, and, I provided a firearm. But that's the other great thing. So backing up, if you want to do an NRL Hunter as a skills shooter or as a competitor, and you don't know where to start with firearms and optics, and maybe you don't even have a gun, you just want to go check it out, you guys have some really great corporate partners that have lined you up with all the accessories, from shooting bags, tripods, rifles, optics, ammo, data. Like, you can literally, if people register with you in advance and say, hey, I've never done this, I want to come in, you'll sponsor them for one match, all of their kit.
Well, we'll fully kit you out if you need it, providing we have enough gear. With so many matches now,
Sure.
We have some weekends it's 3 matches in a weekend, so it kind of gets hard.
So you have to arrange it in advance.
Yeah, let us know in advance, and we'll let you know if it's possible or not. But we can fully kit you out with everything. We can even help provide ammo if you can't source ammo, the whole 9 yards. The whole goal of the NRL Hunter is to get people out there to become better ethical hunters, right? We're not worried about who the best shooter in the world is. It's not that, it's not that big of a deal personally to me. I don't care. I want to know that people are going out there and ethically harvesting these animals or ethically killing these animals at realistic ranges with a skill set that they learned to build their confidence to make them more successful.
Yeah, and that's one thing, like with shooting, it's such a perishable skill.
It is.
And we've all kind of been on the hunt where, you walk up to a situation and you have a mule deer and it's in an opening and you have that shot opportunity and it's getting ready to head into the timber and somebody takes 3 or 4 minutes to find it and then they have to set up and they're just floundering, right? And it's really frustrating to watch sometimes, or be the person that's in that position where you're frustrated because you can't identify the target, or you don't know how to build a shooting position, and you haven't practiced, what your limitations are in a given situation. And so this is really that opportunity for you to get out and spend a couple of days and decide, hey, when I shoot off my tripod, it works really well for me if I sit and I use my knee to stabilize my elbow, or if I have my firearm in a certain position on that tripod for a balance point, if I have it too far back, it doesn't work, or so there's all these things that you can learn and identify in a practical setting, so that when you are in the field, you're more efficient with your time and you're more prepared to make that shot.
And you're confident, right? Confidence plays a huge part in all of this, and that's why, honestly, a lot of people don't get into those big game hunts. Is they're not confident in their skill set. So if you walk away from a event, one of our matches, and all you simply did was become more confident in what you're able to do, that's a huge plus when you go out into the field. Because now you're not second guessing yourself. You're like, you have that confidence to know what position and your distance, right? Everybody has a maximum range that they're confident in engaging a target or an animal. A lot of people have no idea what that is.
Exactly.
So you come out to a match and you're like, I can shoot 800 yards. Okay, well, you took 10 shots and you hit that 800-yard target once. That's not what you should be shooting at.
Exactly.
You shot at 400 and you hit that, you hit that every single time. That's your maximum effective range that you should be confident in hunting. If you see an animal at 800, close that gap.
Exactly.
Or pass on that animal.
Right. And we see that. I see that so much, especially like, for example, in Wyoming, we have such wide open landscapes, and antelope are a very visual animal, and people come out west and they're hunting antelope, and you oftentimes are not in a position where you can get prone because of this vegetation. So you have sagebrush or grass, things that are going to impede you from being able to get on that prone position. So now you're looking at doing a kneeling tripod, standing tripod shot. And, you're looking at a 400-yard shot, 350-yard shot, and you've never shot standing on a tripod. And ethically, that's probably not the place to be practicing it. This is the NRL Hunter gives you that opportunity to practice those distances, those extended distances that you might find in a realistic hunting scenario. And there are some situations where you're like, okay, well, 400 yards on an antelope standing is too far. Absolutely. Regardless of my training, regardless of my practice, I have to be 250 yards and in, or wherever that number is. And that's where these matches are really great, is it gives you that practical approach to identifying your personal limitations with yourself, your equipment, your firearm. Maybe you're using an optic where you can't dial, and you're trying to do reticle holds, or maybe you're trying to do just visual holds.
Or you're used to shooting at 100 yards with no wind, and all of a sudden you're in Wyoming at 200 yards and there's a 30-mile-per-hour gust. Yeah,
exactly. So it's all of these things. It's all and it's just such a fun environment. The people are incredible. I'm going to shoot this year the Cody match.
Fantastic.
I'm really excited about coming out there. It's my home state. It's only a couple hours from home. And I heard from you that the landscape is absolutely beautiful.
People ask me all the time, what are the best matches to go to? And you can't ever answer that. It's like saying, who's your favorite child, right?
Yeah.
You just can't, right? Someone's going to get mad no matter what I say.
Yeah.
But without a doubt, Cody is one of the most beautiful venues that we have. And I tell anybody, if you're going to bring your family or you want something to do besides just go to the match, Cody has everything there. And it's awesome.
And that is the great thing, is you get to see some incredible terrain. And then the nice thing, too, when you're traveling with some of these matches, whether you just go to one or you're going to a destination match, is you meet geographically new people. So you're picking up friends along the way, and you get to meet a lot of really incredible shooters. When these people are coming off the line, it's kind of your opportunity to ask them, like, hey, I went out there and I shot that, and this is what I did. Can you give me some feedback on how you shot the stage, and how you ran your gear? And people are so willing to share. And even
Absolutely.
the ROs, a lot of the ROs will be like, hey man, I watched you shoot that. If you ask them, what were some of the other shooters doing, and they'll engage and kind of coach you through after you shot, if you're actually competing, not prior to. And then it's just that opportunity for you to be like, man, I didn't even think about doing this. And it opens up your toolbox of resources from a shooting standpoint.
It's that aha moment.
Exactly.
Like I had one of my best friend actually came out to a match in Texas this last weekend, and it was his third match ever. Started off shooting skills, and then he decided he wanted to shoot open light or factory, whatever it was. When I set him up with one of my buddies who's been shooting matches forever, And so he was kind of watching him after he was done shooting. He was watching my buddy. And we had to shoot from this box. And my buddy goes up there, and he sets up his tripod, and he's shooting off of a tripod off of this box, on top, above the railing. And I don't remember what his score was, but it wasn't great, right? He comes off, and my friend Rick, that was kind of helping coach him up and give him pointers, was like, dude, why didn't you just shoot off the ledge? Super stable, put a bag on it, save you 30 seconds or a minute from setting up your tripod, however long it takes you. And you could build a much steadier platform because it is a solid building. I mean, ledge, right? Yeah. And it was like an aha moment. Oh, shoot. Why didn't I didn't even think about that. Right? And so it's those even little things that you learn to start evaluating and seeing what your terrain is, what your opportunities are, what your shot is, so that you can make the best possible decision as to how you're going to engage that target, and then in the real world, how you're going to engage, that animal. We were talking about Wyoming. I was fortunate enough to draw in Wyoming in 24. I hunted up there, I went there 3 or 4 times. We had dinner one night. My 2 antelope that I was luckily enough to shoot, that was off of a tripod because of tall grass.
Yeah. Very common.
Very common, right? Yeah. But through these competitions, I've also learned that I personally am a much better shooter off of a tripod than I am prone, which makes no sense. But I have a bad back.
Yeah, so you have a hard time getting down.
So I have a hard time getting down, and I have a hard time, depending on the elevation, if I'm going facing downwards or upwards or whatever, I just can't get my back and body into those positions to be stable. Off of a tripod, you could be pretty much anywhere if you know how to use a tripod and make it work for you. And I learned all of those skill sets through competition and through talking to mentors and friends and better shooters than I. And that's how I like to hunt now, is I try to do everything I can off of a supported position, not in a prone.
It's interesting because I always have a bipod on the forend of my rifle, because if I can get into prone, I want to. There's very few practical applications in the field annually, I would say, that I have the opportunity of shooting prone. I shot my deer prone this year, but that's very rare. It doesn't happen very often. And so I do also carry a tripod. Like, if you guys watch my show, if I'm on an active stalk, I typically will have my tripod legs extended in the position to where when I get that animal in a realistic range, I can just deploy the legs out, set my gun on top, and within, sub of 20 seconds, my goal, when I'm practicing or training, was always sub 15 seconds. Right. Like, how can I walk up, deploy, set up, and get on trigger within under 20 seconds? My kind of sweet spot was like around 15 seconds. The really competitive guys are sub 10 seconds.
Sub 10, which is insane.
Insanely fast. So that was always my goal, sub 20, and then, my average was around 15 seconds.
Which is still fast.
Super fast. Yeah. So when I'm in the field and I have that mule deer and it's getting ready to hit the timber, and I can get on my tripod and be in that position that quickly, and I know where to put the rifle, I know the positioning, I know how I need to forward load the bipod or the tripod on the ground, all of these things, I don't have to think about it. It just happens, right?
It's instinctual, yeah.
And that is so nice. Like, I always have... the nice thing about a tripod too when you're hunting is it's a multiple use tool. So you can use it for your rifle rest, you can use it for a glassing tool for, your binocular rest, you can throw your spotting scope on it. So you have one piece of equipment that you're carrying that has multiple uses.
I know people that use it to set up their shelters as well, if they don't carry walking sticks.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, I think a tripod, if you're not hunting with a tripod, and I'm not trying to sell tripods here, but if you're not hunting with a tripod, you're missing opportunities. Sure. For sure.
And the quality of your tripod matters too, because you don't want something just so robust and heavy. Like, what I would use in a competition is a very, very heavy, very robust tripod, very stable. When I'm hunting, I go with a lighter weight tripod, but you still want to have one that the legs are firm enough to where you can get a little load on them, you can put the weight on them. You want to have a good enough head on your tripod that it's going to balance the weight of your rifle, and not, if you're running a ball head, you don't want something where I went on a hunt and I did not practice off my new ball head very often, and I set my rifle on it to shoot, and the ball head could not handle the weight, and it would just slowly start to spin.
Yeah.
And this was not the time for this to be a learning. I mean, it was a learning curve though. So now I know, okay, this is the head I run, and this is why. This is light enough weight. This is carbon fiber or whatever, aluminum. There's so many tripods on the market. It's really taking that gear and investing a little bit of time talking to other people, which is, again, the NRL matches are a great opportunity to talk to other competitive shooters or hobby shooters to find out what they're running and why.
Yeah. I mean, literally, you can come to a match and be like, hey, Kristy, that's an awesome tripod. I'm thinking about getting one. And 9 times out of 10, if they're not, if that competitor is not getting ready to go to another stage, they're going to hand it to you and let you run the stage with it because, I'm a gear junkie. I don't know if you are or were, but I've got everything everywhere, right?
Yeah, I have a lot of gear. Some of it needs probably to be round filed and thrown away for good.
Yeah, I'm that same way, right? But the NRL Hunter kind of cuts that barrier to entry.
Sure.
You can come to a match, not know about anything, and you'll see what the top competitors are using, and you'll see what the average Joe is using, and it'll give you a good idea of price points. The top guys are generally using the more expensive stuff.
Sure.
The middle of the run guys are using, good stuff that is absolutely can do the job, but it's a little bit more affordable. But then when you watch them, you'll be able to see
slight differences.
Yeah, how slight differences matter, right?
Yeah, they sure do, yeah. And I am, once I find something that works for me, I'm really hard pressed to not change.
Right, as you should be, though.
I'm like, okay, I really like this is working for me. And I it's so funny. I have a binocular rest that Swarovski makes.
Okay.
And it literally is just this little tiny square plate that you set your binos on that you can put a strap over it and hold your binos. And that is what I shoot off of when I'm hunting, is that little bino rest, because I can throw my binoculars on it and use it as a rest while I'm in the field and work a grid pattern or whatever I want with my binos. I can step away from my tripod, have somebody get behind my binoculars if they want. But I love that little bino rest. And then I had Phoenix shooting bags 2016 or something made me a little custom soft bag to put on top of it.
Yep.
So it's, it gives me that little nice platform. It's super lightweight. And you can have Coltax making bags for Ruger. There's Armageddon Gear's making bags. I mean, there are so many bags out there. I remember, I don't know if the tactical udder bag is still a thing, but that was a thing when I was, but I have I have 2 of those, and they weigh 50 million pounds, and they weight on your gun and help with recoil management.
Right, but those are great for PRS.
Sure.
Where weight doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Would you ever take that into the field?
Oh, heavens no. No.
I wouldn't even take something like that coyote hunting where I know I'm going to sit forever.
Exactly.
I still wouldn't use something that heavy. And that's where, there's some variations between other precision rifle sports, right?
Yeah.
It's honestly, it's a great way for you just to come out, even with whatever you have.
Yeah.
I mean, we had, no joke, at this last Texas match, we had a guy shooting a Woodstock 30-06.
That's crazy.
And I was like, hell yeah. And I'm not going to say his name. He had the best porn stash ever. And he looked like he was from the 70s, and he fit the part. I called him out during our safety brief. I was like, that's the guy we want here.
Yeah. Right?
He looks like a classic hunter, right? He's got that classic rifle, 30 I don't even remember what it was. 30 our model. It was a 30-06 with a wooden stock. He had it threaded with the suppressor, so I was like, that's even cooler.
Yeah.
And he was just out there having fun, and just that's perfect, right?
I remember my first shooting school I did with Magpul, and I was in my early 30s, so this was 15
couple years ago. A couple of years ago.
It was a long time ago. And I showed up to that training for it was a I can't remember what the name of the course was, but it was their intro to long range shooting, right?
Okay.
I showed up with a 300 Win Mag that weighed 6 pounds. It was a Remington 700 action. And that thing, after the first day, just pummeled me. It had a muzzle brake on it. It was 100 degrees when we were shooting. And I felt like a donkey kicked me in my face at the end of the day. I was sand spattered from my muzzle brake. I wanted to die. And thank God my cadre instructor at that time lent me a heavier rifle to train with, because I had no clue.
Right.
But that rifle is the rifle that people would take potentially to a hunter course,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. You know, my hunting rifle that I shot with all in 24, I'll use this year as well, is a 8-pound 7 PRC.
Yeah.
Right? And I love that rifle. And I've shot competition with it. And the reason I shoot competition with it is because I want to know every single nuance of that rifle.
Yeah.
Right? Because if I'm, you know, I still have never shot a big bull. I've never shot a bull, period, bull elk. So I know when I get on a bull that everything's going to work and it's going to perform exactly how I need it to perform. And if I only take that rifle out once a year to shoot a paper target at 100 yards because of the recoil, then I am severely handicapping myself when I get into the field. And a big bull hunt, you know, could be very, very expensive and very hard to get to. So you put all this time and effort into it and you don't practice, you really just wasted a lot of money, or you got lucky.
There's also a lot of people that buy very expensive firearms for hunts and follow up with zero training, and they, you know, they take it and they buy a gun that's like, oh, this is going to be a quarter-minute or a half-minute gun, and they shoot it and they're like, man, this thing sucks. I'm getting an inch group out of it. I can't shoot it. I'm not and a lot of it is just the application of their fundamentals.
Absolutely.
Ammo selection, optic selection,
Yep.
you know, these things. So you can't necessarily just buy a gun and have it be all end all to your success. No. A lot of it, you know, taking the responsibility as a hunter and saying, okay, well, I'm investing in my firearm, I'm investing in my optic, I'm investing in good ammo, and I'm also going to invest in myself.
You have to.
Yeah.
You absolutely. And I mean, I'm guilty of this too, right? Like I have a lot of nice stuff. I try to buy the best I can afford at that time.
Correct.
Because I want to be as successful as I can. But like I mentioned before, I have a bad back. Mm-hmm. So I know that one of the things that I have to work on outside of my shooting is being in better physical shape. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, you post pictures or stories all the time. You're at the gym all the time.
Yeah.
And people don't realize
Not
that
this
is
week.
Not
this week, but most of the time.
It's show season, people. Yeah. It's show season, okay? Your physical abilities are huge.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally got pushed off of Hell's Canyon 2 years ago because I physically couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
And it was a moment for me. And I was like, it was a kick in the guts.
Oh, yeah.
And I felt so bad because I had friends with me that had spent time to go with me and, you know, that effort.
Sure.
We had a huge storm come in, which is why we weren't prepared for it. And physically, I couldn't push past that storm physically. Yeah. The right call was to come off because otherwise we would have been in danger. I mean, that storm lasted 4 days.
Yeah.
And we didn't have the right gear. We weren't ready for it. So again, lesson learned.
Yeah.
Right? Now it's, you know, exercising as much as I can with my schedule. It's making sure that I'm in shape on these hunts, or I'm going to pass on the hunt. Mm-hmm. Especially if I'm going, like if you and I were going hunting and you said, hey, Travis, we're going 10 miles in on mules, and I haven't been on a mule ever, I'm probably going to say, let's go next year after I've been on the mule for a year.
You're going to be sore.
Yeah, I'm going to be all chapped on. Be like, ugh.
You're going to be sore. There's going to be things hurting you didn't even know you had in your body.
Yeah, I'm going to be like, dude, that sounds epic. Give me a year to practice, right?
Well, you don't need that long, but it doesn't hurt to get on one and just test out your mule legs. Talk about the different divisions, because you have within NRL Hunter, there are different divisions. You have a light division, you have a heavy division. So break everybody down what each division means in conjunction with the firearm they choose or the gear they bring.
So like Kristy said, we have multiple divisions. Our first one, which we have kind of touched on, is our skills division. Our skills division means that you can come into the match. It's generally half price. Mm-hmm. You don't get to compete for points or for a prize table, but you get to bring whatever rifle you want, and you can be coached as much as you want. A lot of times at these matches, we will have enough staff that they can walk around with you for several stages and give you some one-on-one attention. So the skills division, if you've never done competition before, you're new to precision rifle, is absolutely the place to start.
Yeah.
From there, we have the open light division, let's skip that. We have the factory division.
Okay.
Our factory division is a factory rifle that is completely unmodified, and it has to weigh 12 pounds or less with all of its accessories.
Yep. So that's your scope, your bipod, whatever.
Whatever's attached.
Yeah.
Not your sling. Sling's a safety device, so
Okay.
we don't count that as weight. But your suppressor, we count that as weight.
What about mag? I can't remember.
No mag.
No mag. Okay.
No mag, no ammunition.
Okay.
We don't count that for weight. So I know, like, what's his name? Aaron Martin's been doing a lot, and a bunch of people have been kind of, the factory support from everybody has been absolutely phenomenal. You're coming out shooting a Ruger factory rifle.
Yeah.
And that's what we like to see. Custom rifles are great, don't get me wrong, but more factory rifles are sold than custom rifles.
That's right.
The average Joe has a factory rifle, and because of competition over the past decade, a lot of manufacturers are looking at that, and they're upping their game where a lot of these factory rifles, no joke, shoot as good or better than custom rifles.
Sure, I would agree with that.
I mean, it's absolutely insane.
Yeah, well, they're manufacturing with such exacting standards, and the machining process is so good that it's incredible what they get out of a very modest price point firearm. I mean, Ruger's firearms shoot better than I can physically shoot. So,
right.
you can buy a firearm that is, a sub-quarter minute firearm and have load development done, custom load development. You spend all this money, and if you can't fundamentally execute that, what I do with my Ruger firearms and Hornady match ammo or Hornady hunting ammo is they're so exact. They actually can outperform what I'm capable of repeating downrange, especially when we get into these timed and stressed and non-conventional shooting positions. Because your I would say your level of danger space accuracy is diminished depending on what position you end up floating into.
I've been in precision rifle for a better part of a decade, right? There are less than a handful of people that I can name that can outperform their rifles.
Yes.
So when people are I need the greatest, latest, whatever, do you really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's all great because innovation is great. But until you really learn what you are physically capable of behind a rifle, going out and buying something different isn't going to make you a better shooter.
Yeah. In the heart of the wilderness, every step counts. No matter where or what you're hunting, OnX Hunt Elite has you covered in the U.S. and Canada with offline capability, land ownership, 3D mapping, and you can even access specialty courses, hunt research tools, and elite-specific features. No matter where you pursue the wild, adventure is assured when you upgrade to Elite for the ultimate hunting experience. There are a lot of Americans that understand the value of hunting, but we all know that right now, national support of hunting is extremely volatile. It seems that with every passing day, our voice is diminished and the court of public opinion is not effectively hearing our side. We need advocates working on our behalf in Washington, D.C. to defend our freedom to hunt. And thankfully, when we need it the most, we have that advocate in Safari Club International. SCI's world headquarters are located in Washington, D.C., just blocks from the United States Capitol, which means that SCI is on the ground with our congressional leaders and federal agencies on our behalf, on behalf of the hunting community. SCI has an active political presence in all 50 states through their extensive chapter network and government affairs staff. If you have ever wondered why you should be a member of SCI, you shouldn't wonder anymore. Join us in the fight to defend hunting. Go to safariclub.org to learn more. So you have the factory division. That's for everybody. Is there an optic limit on that, like
Nope.
price point? So there used to be, right? I think.
Not with us. The PRS used to be.
Okay, PRS.
PRS had different. PRS has a factory division, and I don't know what all the rules there are.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
And they actually have a sportsman's division that they just launched, and that's great because they're trying to bridge the gap between what we're doing and what they're doing.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. But yeah.
So yours is an overall weight limit.
It's an overall weight limit.
12 pounds.
I don't care what. Yeah, I don't care what you spend.
But then you have heavy.
Right. Then we have open light,
Okay.
which is 12 pounds or less, but it's a custom rifle.
Okay.
And then we have open heavy, which is 16 pounds or less, which is a custom rifle.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the teams division, which is a ton of fun. It's actually our second largest division, and the teams is exactly as it sounds. It's you and I get to go out and we get to work together and we shoot it. But instead of a 4-minute time limit to complete your stage, we get 6 minutes. And teams is the most fun to watch.
Yeah, so basically how that it would break down, like the way I break down a stage if I'm by myself, I have a 4-minute time limit. I use the first 2 minutes to locate, range estimate, and get data for my targets. And I have a timer that usually will go off at that 2-minute mark. Then I know I need to be shooting, building my position. So with teams, you still get that 2 minutes on the front end. It's a virtual 2 minutes. Obviously, you can go over. You manage your time how you want. But then each shooter then would have roughly 2 minutes to engage is kind of how that breaks down.
Yep, exactly. And it just depends on what your goals are, right? So every time a new person comes to a match and they're asking for advice, I always try to find out what their goals are. If your goal is to be a competitor, I give you different advice. If your goal is to be a hunter, I give you, a completely different set of advice, because the way you approach the competition or the event should reflect what you're trying to learn.
Sure.
Right? If you're trying to be a hunter, don't worry about, 4 targets, because realistically, unless you're in Texas shooting pigs, you're not shooting 4 animals at once. Right? So worry about 1 position, 1 target. As you progress and you get better time management, then worry about finding and engaging that second target, and then build yourself up slowly. But until you find that one first target and able to hit it with 1 first-round impact, don't worry about moving on. Because in reality, if we're in the wild hunting whatever we're hunting, that's pretty much all you're going to get.
Yeah.
Right? If you're trying to be a competitor, then you need to find everything as fast as you can. You need to arrange everything as fast as you can. And if you don't hit that 4th one, we got a problem.
Yeah.
Right? So it's different time management. It's a different outlook on how you approach the stage. But it offers something for everybody.
Yeah. And I've never approached it that way. I've always been like, I'm going to find everything and then I'm going to figure out my shooting position and engage. And that's, I typically will time out on a stage anyway. So what you're saying is good advice, And I read this book with winning in mind by John Basham, and I'm sure you've read it. If you all have not read it, I strongly encourage you to read it. I've talked about this book constantly now. And it really talks about, especially when you're in a shooting position, or, like whether you're at the range or you're wanting to go hunting, when you get behind the gun or anything in life, if you focus on your desired outcome, you're much more likely for your brain to make a mistake versus focusing on step 1, step 2, step 3. So like what this book kind of coaches you through is, instead of focusing on, I want to hit this target, it's like, okay, well, I racked my bolt, closed it, double-checked my bubble level, and bubble level's good. What's my wind call? Okay, I'm going to hold 0.2 left. Okay, 0.2 left. Okay, my bubble level's still good. I am pressed on the trigger. Press, engage. Next one. Instead of being like, I want to hit that, and darn it, I forgot to check my bubble level on that one, and so this book really helps you break it down. Like when you are stepping up to a stage 4 NRL, like, okay, I'm on my tripod. These are my steps that I have to take before I press the trigger on every shot, and that way you're sending every round with as much precision as you can, and without stepping through and because a lot of people just have brain meltdown. And as level is one of the first things that goes out the window. Or, oh my gosh, I forgot to put my knee on, or my elbow on my knee, or if I forgot to do this, or because once that timer goes off, your brain just goes into like scrambled eggs.
Right.
and that's the difference between a novice shooter and one of these tenured shooters. The tenured shooters don't rattle. They have a strategy. No. They have a checklist that they are 100%. They don't worry about where the bullet's going to hit. They worry about the checklist once they hit those things. A lot of it is unconscious. They do it without having to think about it. When you are learning, it is a conscious process.
Absolutely. I mean, you watch some of these top competitors, and they are moving so fast that it literally looks like they're moving slow.
Yeah.
It's like, how did you just complete a 4-minute stage in 2 minutes, and it's taking everybody else 4 minutes?
Yeah, and they're timing out.
Yeah, and it's like, and they're clean. The seasoned shooters are cleaning it in 2 minutes. Yeah. It's like, it makes absolutely no sense. And then you start talking to them, and they're like, they've developed this system, mental checkpoints, so that it's always consistently the same. So no matter what you see, what position you see them in, or where you see them, The way they close their bolt is the same. The method of, getting behind the gun and checking dope or dialing wind or whatever they're doing is always the same. When they're done, the way they come off the stage, always the same.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that muscle memory.
Sure.
And it's that repetition that makes it so that they become faster, right? Slow is fast, or smooth is fast, whatever that saying is, right? Yeah. And it's really, really true. And so if you become that efficient on the firing line or at a stage, imagine what happens when you see an animal.
Exactly. You're going to be the same way.
Yeah.
You have the same process, same level of smooth. And this is like, I cannot stress this enough. Like, shooting is so perishable. The more time you can spend behind your firearm, the better. And it doesn't even have to be, it can be with a 22 training at 50 yards in your backyard. Like, you can practice getting ready for, you can dry fire. Yeah. You can practice, what you would want to do maybe for going to an NRL match at home without firing a shot. You have your gear, you have your things, and you set it up and you practice holding that reticle within a danger space on a target, and you can do all of that without sending any rounds downrange.
Absolutely. And you should, right? You should, before your hunting season, you should have all your gear packed up. You should know exactly what you're taking for which hunt and how you're going to pack it. And then most importantly, how you're going to deploy it. Yeah. Right? We've literally had people that shoot NRL Hunter talk about hunting stories where they get set up and ready on a rifle so fast that they're waiting forever for that animal to get into an open field of view. Mm-hmm. Because they saw the antlers and they're behind the tree line or whatever. And so they get ready and they're just sitting there forever. Mm-hmm. That's how way it should be. Yeah. You should be waiting on that animal so that you have the best possible shot versus you trying to rush and catch that animal before it runs off.
Well, and you think about it, too, all of this goes into physical conditioning, mental preparation, the best you can be and the best you can bring to the table as far as your whole package from your firearm, ammo, optic, body, mind. I mean, that's what makes us the most ethical hunters, because as we all know, things don't always go perfectly.
No, they don't.
And when things go not necessarily according to plan, I feel like, if I know that I've done everything I can to train and prepare, I live with a mistake a lot better.
For sure.
Because inevitably, something like, that wasn't the best shot. Like last year I had a deer I shot. It was so close. It was kind of quartering to me. And it went in great in the lung, but then it went out back, because it was quartering because of the angle, kind of went out back a little bit farther in the stomach than I would have wanted. And the deer traveled farther than I would have wanted. But I did everything I could to prepare as a shooter for that, and I did harvest the deer. But again, those are the situations where if I hadn't have trained, I might have maybe second-guessed myself or, been like, oh, geez. But it's easier to be like, okay, well, I did the best shot I could in this situation, and the outcome was still good, and I did everything I can, and that's easier to live with than, you see horrible things happen where, people punch the trigger and bullets go where they don't intend. Or people forget to chamber around and they think they're shooting and they're not shooting. Like, I've seen that too, where they're like, oh,
you're like,
I'm missing. You're like, no, you haven't even shot yet. Like they become like completely incoherent, like almost black out. It's crazy.
It's funny what happens.
What your brain does crazy things.
Yeah. I think, like, I've been on some hunts with some friends. I think that you are at a good place when you can call your bad shots.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that. I was out hunting with a friend, and I took a shot on an animal, on a deer, a couple 100 yards. It wasn't, super far or anything. Yeah. And I immediately, as soon as I pulled that trigger, I called out bad shot. Yeah. And I racked, and I was right back on that animal.
And you were ready.
And I was able to take a follow-up shot. We were shooting suppressed in a free state. And so I was able to take a follow-up shot because suppressed, the animal only moved, 30 yards or something, right? And my second shot was great. And I was super I was super bummed. I was upset that I had missed that shot. And my buddy who was with me was like, Travis, you called a bad shot.
Yeah.
Immediately. Yeah, before that bullet was even near that target, or that animal. And you were ready to go immediately. Mm-hmm. He's all... Things happen, right? Yeah. I pulled a bad shot, but I was ready.
Yeah.
So it's those things that you learn through competition, not just shooting at a 100-yard zero, that
or on a bench,
or in a square range, that will help make you more successful on the hunt. Because I'll be I miss. I try not to miss. I do everything I can to make that first shot kill. Luckily, like, knock on every single piece of wood, and I am relatively a new hunter in comparison to a lot of people. I've never shot an animal in the ass or in the butt. Sorry. Beep. I've never shot an animal in the butt. That would probably be my worst nightmare. Yeah. But we're human. We make, if we are able to do our absolute best through training, through repetition, then that's the best way to honor that animal or to be prepared for that hunt.
Agreed. I wholeheartely agree with that. So give me like some gear that people bring. Let's go a little geary on this.
Okay.
Like what is you don't have to name drop. You can name drop whatever you want to do. But give us like a start to finish, like nuts and bolts. What is a typical kit that someone's going to be running? Obviously going to have backpacks, bipods, tripods. Kind of run through.
So the setup, again, is a little bit different if you're a hunter or competitor. Let's talk about hunter because we're at the Hunt Expo, right? If you are going to become a better hunter, I recommend that you bring the pack that you hunt with.
Correct.
You bring all of the essential gear that you're going to hunt with. Like, I don't care about your kill kit. I don't care about water and food. All that stuff's provided at the match. But if you normally carry a phone scope or you carry a spotting scope and binoculars and a kestrel and this, if you carry all of that stuff, then bring that to the match because you need to be able to feel what that weight is on your back and how that moves in that pack because it all moves differently. Through competition. Yeah.
And I must say with this, where that is very valuable is the Gear Bomb Gong Show. Because when you get on the mountain and you have all of this gear and you haven't trained with all of your gear, it's really easy to leave binoculars behind or leave gear behind, leave kit behind when you're not used to managing it or getting it in and out of your backpack for time. And that time kind of replicates the urgency of the opportunity.
Absolutely.
And so if you're not used to, okay, what pocket is my what in? What pocket is this in? Like, where's this? And then the competition will help you mitigate or manage the best locations
the
for
efficiency
your gear.
Of that, right?
Correct, yeah.
We literally have had guys come to competitions with sandbags in their backpacks because they want to carry that weight in training for their hunt.
Sure.
And I think that's great.
Yeah.
Will you ever use a spotting scope at one of these matches? Probably not because it's not what's ideal for these situations. If you are going to absolutely take gear with you, a tripod, absolutely, 100%. And always, if you can afford it, is laser range-finding binos. They will save you so much time in competition.
With angle compensation.
Yes, with angle compensation, which one of the companies just did the software update for, which I was like, thank God you did that.
Yeah.
I'm like, why didn't that come with it? But whatever. Yeah. Those laser range-finding binoculars with applied ballistics or some kind of ballistic software will help you so much, not only in competition but also hunting.
Yeah. So mine is old school. I have a laser rangefinder. I do not have software in my binoculars because my binoculars are like 15 years old. They do angle.
Okay.
But they're so old they don't do ballistics. So I am like old school. I've got my arm board.
Which you should have anyways, right? Because electronics fail.
Backup. Yeah. It's a backup. But yeah, I have my arm board with my data on my arm board and or like on a
data card.
Data card on the side of my firearm. Trying to think the name of the one I was using. I think it was a Sidewinder or something.
Which is old school.
like seriously. And then they have digital ones now. Kestrel makes digital.
Yeah, they make a digital one. I think Garmin has it. Garmin has it on their watches. Yeah. I mean, technology is crazy and technology is great. Take advantage of it.
But it does fail in the field.
But it does fail.
Yeah. Like I like to have my data written down and so that it's intuitive. Yep. And then I could hand my data card to my cameraman and be like, all right, I'm going to range this. Give me my hold if I need to. Or I do it. I mean, I've never really done that, but you could in theory, right?
I have.
Like,
I have literally, when I'm hunting with friends, I'm like, dude, here's my binos. Range it and tell me my dope. I don't care about the distance. Yeah. Because I always preference whoever I hunt with. This is where I'm comfortable. Yeah. And obviously, if they're giving me some crazy dope, I know it's not where I want to be.
But having it, as a backup, having a backup system too. So if you're going to use the ballistic applications within your binoculars, have it wrote down somewhere, because what if your battery dies?
Absolutely.
What if you get into fog and you're having an issue ranging?
Yep.
And you're like, well, I don't know exactly how far this is, but it's going to be around 300 yards. You can get a better idea of compensating some of that bullet drop if you know what your data is, or just by training, right?
Right, because and again, depending on how you hunt, you might be in a stand and you've created a range estimate for your field of view already, in that lane or whatever.
Yeah, and you dial your 250 yard zero, and you're good to go in the whole field.
Yeah, or you're good, and then all of a sudden the fog rolls in at dusk. Or, when sundown, right? And now you're like, well, I can't get a proper range, but I know that tree is 250 yards.
Exactly.
Boom.
Yep.
Right? So the analog method is, absolutely huge. And a lot of people do keep an analog backup system, which I recommend to everybody.
Yeah.
But range finding binos that give you data, it's that luxury that is like, it's nice. Once you have it,
I don't have it.
We're gonna go shopping.
It's so expensive. I'm cheap.
We are at Hunt Expo 2025, and we've got some of the top manufacturers here.
I know.
We are going shopping.
Kristy needs to update her binos.
Do you have an optic? I know Night Force is your optic sponsor, but they don't do binos.
They don't do binos.
So do you have a bino sponsor?
No.
You will by the end of this weekend. We are getting her some binos.
We're going to get me some new binos.
We're getting some new binos.
Hey, I did get the new Loophole rangefinder, though, that will talk to my Onyx.
Which is fantastic.
Because I've been using compass mode and measuring where the animal is, because we hunt so much private public borders, right? And so Loophole was great. They sent me the rangefinders out, because I was like, that is awesome technology.
Yeah, it's
I need to have that help me in the field. Yeah. So
again, technology is absolutely amazing, and when you can drop a pin to where you shot an animal
and go to that spot,
it saves you so much time.
Or you drop a pin where the animal is, so you can close the gap and do a more efficient stop.
Right. There's several ways to use it.
Terrain association can be brutal on the mountain. But anyway, I'm derailed. No. So back to we're back to
we have a script.
I know, right? But I get down a rabbit hole. I'm like, okay.
Have good rain gear.
Yeah.
A lot of our matches, even when there's no rain in the forecast, it's always good to have good rain gear, because a lot of our matches do have heavy winds.
Mm-hmm.
So even just to protect you from that brisk, breeze, I always have rain gear in my pack.
Yeah.
No matter, I have rain gear in my backpack here.
Yeah.
It's just something really good to have. Another good.
Because it rains inside the Hunt Expo.
No, but I got to go outside.
I'm just teasing you. I'm so joking.
I have to walk across the street. I'm not fancy enough to stay in the hotel connected to the to the
well, there
convention.
Is this other one here's not fancy, and it's also really close.
Clothing-wise, good boots.
Yeah.
The standard stuff. If you're going hunting and you just bought a new pair of Krispies or Kinetreks or whatever it is.
Mindell.
Yeah.
Whatever you're wearing.
Whatever you're wearing, doesn't matter. Break them in.
Yeah.
Right? That's just common sense. I just bought some sheep feet.
Did you?
Yeah.
The inserts.
The inserts.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in trying those out, and I'll wear them. I'll wear them at matches.
And I recommend people bring those anyway, just because if your foot gets hot spots or starts getting sore when you're on a hunt, it's nice if you switch the insole out. You can kind of modify those pressure points or adjust for arch. They're great. Yeah.
And I'm going to use them during match season.
Yeah, and the hunt is not the place you want to practice or experiment.
Try 'em out. Right.
Experiment with this stuff. This is another great place to test out your gear, like you're talking.
Exactly.
Okay.
You have to have a good optic.
Yeah, on your rifle scope.
On your rifle scope, you have to have good glass.
The best you can afford. I shoot Night Force.
Yep.
But the best you can afford,
Yeah.
and that's what we all recommend. Whatever the best is that you have a budget for, buy the best you can.
Yeah. Don't with all of this stuff. Don't go out and put it on your credit card. You don't need to go into debt for this stuff.
No.
It's not that serious.
Pretend you're Dave Ramseying and just save the money.
Yeah.
Or sell something that you currently have and generate more revenue to upgrade your gear, things like that.
Absolutely.
Rockslide has a great forum to gear swap and sell.
They do.
Yeah.
They absolutely do. It's also
buy used gear.
I was just about to go there. I was like, if you could find good used gear, that'll save you a ton of money.
Sure.
Right. But when it comes to a scope, our maximum allowable range at a match is 1,000 yards. Realistically, based on scope mathematics, you only need a 10 power to be able to see 1,000 yards. We recommend, if you can get to a 15, 17 power, somewhere around there, great. If you want to go bigger, that's fine, but it gets heavier.
Yeah.
Right? So a good variable powered optic, majority of the people we shoot in mills.
Yeah.
If you have an MOA rifle, that's fine. Bring it out. We just, you got to figure out the conversion.
Yeah.
Right?
Or just, you just run it. As long as you're doing your own math yourself, it doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, for me, the NX8 2.5 to 20 is a good mid-power optic for that application. Right. It's a little bit lighter and still has really good punch-in capability.
Yeah, 20 power, if you can get a good lightweight 20 power, dude, you're solid.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to be able to see everything.
Sure.
And it's gonna work for you. The clearer the glass, the better.
Yeah.
But buy something that you're gonna hunt with.
Yeah.
Right.
And also understand the reticle in the optic is really important. What those subtensions mean, and be able to correspond your data to that. So you might have to spend some time at home trajectory validating, making sure that, like, when you input your data into your Kestrel and it says at 800 yards you're gonna dial whatever, that when you actually shoot it, it's hitting at that.
You're treating your data.
And the thing is that's great for NRL matches is you guys provide those farther targets where people can trajectory validate prior to the match, the day before. So you give 100-yard zero, and then you have some of those farther targets where people could be like, hey, I've never shot this data. This is just what my Kestrel spit out in combination with what the information was on my box.
Right.
Because some people use, BC information, or they didn't chronograph their firearm, so they're borrowing a chronograph at the match, or they're using the chronograph speed off the ammo box, which is never the same as never the same. But it's a starting place, right?
It is.
And so even setting up your rifle, like, from the get-go, at the zero range, if you don't know how to do this stuff, there's inevitably going to be people there. Hey, I've got a chronograph here. I've got the new Garmin. I've got a lab radar. I've got a magneto speed, whatever it is, and you can utilize and share gear, and people will help you.
No, absolutely. And, when you come to a match, don't be afraid to ask questions.
Sure.
I'm always busy, but if you stop and you want to ask me a question, I'm going to take the time to answer you, or I'm going to find the person who knows a better answer than myself to help you out, right?
Sure.
I don't pretend to know everything. I've just been around for a while. So if you don't ask, you're not going to find out.
No.
Right? Regardless of what it is. I've literally taken people's rifles apart at matches and put them back together to help them confirm their zero and make sure they were set up right, because they just didn't know.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
This is the place to learn.
It's also, a good reminder, like, for me, I always have a toolkit in my truck. And you could put it in your backpack even. And that way, if you do have a problem with your firearm or your optic, something, you have the appropriate tools to do some troubleshooting. And you probably have all that stuff too there. But some places, you're, in the middle of a course of fire. And
yeah, you should, if I know that I'm going to be away from my vehicle hunting for, a substantial amount of time, more than a couple of hours, or it's not easy to get back to my vehicle, there is always fix-it sticks in my backpack.
Yeah.
They're not heavy, but there's a little bit of weight to them. And that weight is worth it, because if you have to fix something in the field, that could be, the continuation or the end of your hunt if you can't fix it.
And if nothing else, coming to these matches will just open up your opportunity for investing in better gear, which clearly I need to do. But it is a good opportunity to learn. And what's these competitions drive innovation.
Yes.
These are some of the best shooters in the world attending them, and then there's some of the most novice everyday shooters in the world attending them. And in this, what happens at these matches, what happens in training here, it's literally driving innovation, driving manufacturing. I mean, Ruger came up with the Ruger Precision Rifle. Then, innovation through competitive shooting sports drove that Gen 2. And so there was all of these upgrades, and now we're kind of on Gen 3 with some new butt stocks, and, we've got barrier stops on our firearms now, and there's all of these things, if you want to shoot the heavy division, that you can have on your firearm, and so there's a lot of innovation that's getting drove. it's changing. The gear is changing. This technology changes so quickly. But this gives you that practical application of, okay, I just got this new range-finding binocular, and boy, I don't know how to use it, and I'm going to set it up. But let's make sure it's all functioning and you understand how it works.
Right. No, absolutely. If you buy all this technology or you buy new gear, I mean, I'm guilty of this too. Learn how to work it.
Sure.
Right? I mean, if you don't realize how to change a setting in it and all of a sudden it gets bumped or whatever in the field or at a match, if you don't know how to work that technology, it's no good to you.
Yeah. I was listening to a man talk the other day, and he had went on a mountain goat hunt and did not understand how his scope turret worked. And he felt like it had gotten bumped in the scabbard on his horse. And he missed a mountain goat twice at 200 yards.
Ouch.
And had no idea where his zero was, did not know and understand how to fix it, and he ended up going home without a goat. That is an expensive hunt to be like, I have no idea how this works. And, you know, there was, you know, some blaming of outfitter and this and that, and, you know, but at the end of the day, as when you step into the field or you pay for a hunt, it is your responsibility to understand your firearm, your equipment. You cannot count on an outfitter or a guide to have tools, to have product knowledge. That is not their job. Your job as the hunter is to show up prepared.
Yeah. Their job is to help you find that animal.
Correct.
Make sure you stay safe.
And have opportunity.
Yeah, right? I literally missed a pig last year on a hunt because my friend was borrowing my rifle. He shot first. He handed me the rifle. I didn't check my turret. Mm-hmm. And so I completely
assumed where the turret was.
I assumed that my turret was on my, because it was 100-something yard shot.
So you assumed it was zero.
So I assumed that it was on zero, like I handed it to my friend, right? Mm-hmm. And it wasn't. Yeah. And I'm not blaming him. He shot his pig, and he was excited. His first pig ever. Heck yeah. Not his fault. Yeah. My responsibility to know about my gear when it's in my hands.
Yeah.
I missed my pig.
Yeah.
So
did you get one?
I had to run a mile to catch this pig. Like, literally. I'm literally
this goes
running.
into the physical fitness of Travis.
My guide was like 400 yards in front of me. By the time I ran up to my guide, he was on top of this pig. He'd mounted this pig.
Oh, geez.
Like that. This pig ran so far, it was exhausted.
Yeah.
Right? He's like, Travis, you're going to get on this pig now. I'm like, hell no, I'm not.
I'm not riding the pig.
I'm not riding your pig, bro. He's all, no, you're getting on this pig. You're safe. So I got on the pig, and when I got on the pig, he was like, it was just, didn't want, he looked at me and was like, yeah.
It didn't buck you off.
No.
It wasn't like a little kid at one of those 4-H events where they're like trying to ride the sheep.
I mean, this pig looked at me, and I'm saying huffing and puffing because I just, I ran a mile. I don't run a mile. I mean, I just don't, right?
We're built for comfort.
Yeah. I'm like, if I'm running, there's a big problem.
Something is chasing Travis if he's running.
There's a big problem. But, yeah, I mean, it was an awesome hunt, Central California pig hunt. It was fantastic. Yeah.
And that's also the great thing is like the NRL Hunter. When I shot one in California, I did an episode. So I shot the NRL Hunter match, and I took my competition rifle on a pig hunt and went pig hunt. It was so much fun.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was a great episode.
So that same match, which was the Arbuckle match in Northern California, my buddy Sam McGuire has SMC guide service, and he's doing pig hunts for a bunch of the guys from the hunt from the match. That week.
It's so it is such a good time. Yeah.
It's an absolute blast.
It was a great combo. Yeah. It was a fun episode. I really I would love to do that again. I should do that one again because it was a lot of fun. You went and shot for 2 days and then you're like totally feel like you're tuned up and then you go pig hunting.
If you want to go, I've got some credits with him. We can go and take some pigs.
We're gonna go.
I'm like, as long as I don't have to run a mile again.
No, we're not running. I'm not running. Are you kidding me? No. Actually, I need to. I was thinking about that. So March is going to be. So the month of March, I'm kind of designating like every year. I try to not travel in March. So this year, the first part of March, I am doing a little bit of traveling. I've got an SCI event I'm doing, and then I'm going to go do a den visit as part of a biological study, and I want to hold baby bears. So I'm going to go do that.
Awesome.
But then the rest of the month of March and the first week of April, I'm home. And so I'm really, despite the cold, I also read the book called Extreme Ownership. No excuses. The month of March is going to be my month to train with my firearm.
Nice.
Because I haven't shot an NRL match or just even showed up in a number of years. So I'm going to train, and then it's Meathead March for me, I'm calling it.
Okay.
So I'm going to be in the gym, lifting 4 days a week, and then doing cardio. So I thought, maybe I'll start running in March with my little dog because she's a psycho. But again, it's like defining these measurable goals for yourself. Like I think it's so important for us as hunters. Don't just say, well, I'm going to go shoot an NRL match, or I want to enter this. So go, come do the skills, learn, but take it home and apply it. Like, you can't just make it this like a one-off thing, right? Like, you can, but you shouldn't. You should. And shooting is so much fun. Why not train and compete and shoot or dry fire or just be your best as you can?
Well, and you meet such great people. I mean,
sure.
You and I met before you started doing competitions, but then we really became friends. Once you started shooting competitions, we had, a little bit more to discuss and have fun with, and so on and so forth. And you meet great people at these matches. Mm-hmm. When I went up to Sheridan for my hunts this past year when we had dinner, I didn't tell anybody I was coming up there. No. Right? I typically don't. And when I got back, I was like, hey, this is where I was, and this is what I did. And I got so many phone calls. I live 10 minutes from that area. Why didn't you call me and hang out? And I'm like, because I called Kristy, and I wanted to go to dinner with her, okay?
Well, actually what happened, I ran into Nephi from NSSF when I was dropping off 2 deer. And then I don't think...
At that butcher.
At the butcher.
Amazing, yeah.
Yeah, at Bighorn Meats. Then, somehow you guys got to talking, and you guys invited me to dinner, and I got to come down. And I wanted to podcast that week. I was we didn't get a chance to sit down. That's why I was like, we have to do it here at Hunt Expo.
I was honestly surprised that you were even in town. I figured you were off on some adventure.
I'm never in town, so it was awesome that I was, because I'm never home. Like, I'm like, I'm home a week, gone a week. Home a week, gone 3, whatever. But that's tis the season. But so give us like a nugget on, so people can go to the NRL website. What is the actual handle? Is it NRLHunter.com or is it NRL?
.org.
Okay, .org. Okay.
NRLHunter.org. We just launched a new website this year, so completely new.
Yeah.
I would say it's about 90% done. Yeah. Right. It's kind of in its alpha stage. I mean, it's beta stage rather. And it is awesome. Yeah. It is awesome. You can find out everything about our matches there. We have also what we call the NRL Hunter games, which we're going to start working on vigorously this year, which are one-day matches.
Yeah, and I think in Sheridan they're going to do some of those.
Derek Manager's going to do a couple.
I checked the schedule already, and they don't have it on there. And I was like, where are these? And I'm like, there is nothing on there yet.
And that's my fault.
It's okay. I was looking.
Yeah, that's my fault, because that's part of the section that was, not on the initial launch. Yeah. But that should be up within this week. Yeah. Within the month of February, it'll be up. Yeah. And there'll be a full schedule there. And the NRL Hunter Games, it's a one-day match. It's about 5 stages. And it is, you can run it however you want with whatever you want. So it's a big skills match. You can run it with your actual, competition hunting stuff, or if you want to try something different, whatever, right? And we're trying to get more of those across the country. Mm-hmm. But, NRLHunter.org, all the information is right there. Matches are selling out super fast.
Yeah. Some of them sell out same day.
Yeah. It's insane. It's truly a blessing. Yeah. So if there is a match that you want to attend, mark your calendar. It tells you on the website when they open up for registration, and be ready for them. Mm-hmm. I know we've had some people like, your match is already sold out. What am I supposed to do? Sorry.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, we told you months in advance when they open up.
It's limited space. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a competitive. People want to go do them. They're fun.
They do. It's a ton of fun. We are this year for the first time we're doing a destination match in Alaska.
Oh, awesome.
June 20th. If you want to come up. I know it's busy time. I know. I got to send the invite.
But I'm doing the Cody one in June, so I'll be at that one.
Yeah. But, we're going to try to do destination matches in new fun places every couple of years. Yeah. And then for those of you that are international, we have NRL Hunter in South Africa, Spain, France, the UK. We're working on Spain. It's almost done. All over the world.
That's
we're trying to go global.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a huge, huge thing. So awesome. Well, I appreciate your time, and we're gonna pick this up. We're gonna do another podcast in June after I shoot in Cody. You're gonna be at Cody, right?
I don't know. I'm trying to be there because I love that match. Yeah. But again, my schedule is so
Well,
so
if you're not, then we won't. But if you're there, we're going to pick up again and podcast in Cody.
Well, I'm going to be in Wyoming at least twice this year for hunting season.
Yeah, we'll do it again
So we'll have time.
We'll sit back down. We'll reconvene this whole process. And if you guys want to see what an NRL Hunter match is like, I have a couple of episodes I've produced. I did one on Pursue the Wild. I don't remember what season it was, but it was a NRL Hunter match, and then it was followed up by a California pig hunt. And then I did one where I mentored Phil Gillette, and so he did the NRL Hunter match as a mentee, and then I took him on a deer hunt in Colorado. So I have 2 episodes. You guys can kind of get a little breadth of what NRL Hunter is about and check it out. And then I'm going to be filming an episode in Cody this year, or at least a partial episode in Cody this year. So you'll have something new for season 9.
Yes.
Coming up pretty soon.
That's crazy. Season 9 already.
I know. I've 9 years I've been doing this, but that I'm like 15 years in outdoor TV full time. It's insane to think about.
We just aged ourselves.
I know.
Throughout this entire show.
I know.
Hopefully they can't do math.
It's okay. I'm okay with it. I really appreciate your time and for sitting down with me and spending time with me here at Hunt Expo. And encourage everybody to join Travis at a match. And then I want to thank all of our corporate partners here. So I've got Ruger Marlin, Safari Club International. If you guys aren't a member, please join us. Yes. And then also Onyx Hunt. So check out those applications. And they're going to help you with Onyx. That's going to help you with navigation applications, everything you need, tons of information, not just GPS services. So
I use Onyx just as much off season as I do on
100%.
season. It's totally get the premium or the platinum, whatever it's called.
Elite.
The Elite, sorry.
Yeah, Elite.
I got it like 3 years ago. I just automatic renew.
If you do
just keep doing it.
You're going to save $20 if you use code WILD20, which is my code.
Huge. That's awesome.
So instead of $100, it's $80 on your Elite membership. So yeah, use code WILD20 at checkout.
Yep, there you go.
All right, thanks you guys.
Thanks guys.
When conditions get tough on a mountain hunt, your gear must be tougher. Making every opportunity count means selecting equipment that will not fail. Any condition, anywhere, Hornady Outfitter ammunition is designed to perform. Available in a wide range of cartridges from .243 to .375 Ruger. When you're looking for a hard-hitting, deep-penetrating bullet, and cartridge that performs in the most rugged environments, look no further than Hornady Outfitter ammunition. Thank you all for listening to the Wild and Uncut podcast. If you would like to hear more, be sure to not only watch, but subscribe to my Pursue the Wild digital series airing on Carbon TV and YouTube. And while you're at it, follow me at Kristy Titus on Facebook and Instagram.